What's up, guys? I'm EJ, and I'm joined by Kendall, and thank you so much for checking out this edition of our virtual NBA Draft War Room. Today, we'll be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kendall, Cleveland had a miserable season in which they ousted their head coach, John Beilein, even before his first season was over. He resigned, or whatever the situation was with him. JB Bickerstaff, now hired as the full-time head coach. They had a terrible record, one of the worst in the NBA, yet they ended up falling big time in the NBA lottery. Now they hold the fifth pick, so not good luck for Cleveland this time around. We've seen in the past they've gotten great luck with getting the number one pick. This did not happen, obviously, this year. Kendall, this is a weird team, the way it's constructed. We know Dan Gilbert's the kind of owner that wants to win, and he's not afraid of taking risks on big names and signing big names to long-term deals, despite where they are in their careers, in order to try to look like his team is trying to win. So when you have a team that's has young pieces like Sexton and Porter and Garland, and then you mix them with Love and Andre Drummond, who they traded for, kind of leaves you in a weird position coming into this draft with the fifth pick.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Cavs, obviously, very bizarre situation that happened last year. John Beilein. Thought it was a good hire, at least an interesting hire. I thought he's one of the best coaches in the world, especially at the college level. Just wasn't a good fit. He was calling his players thugs, whatever that situation was, whether or not he meant it or not. It was never a good fit. Kevin Love hated the guy. Kevin Love didn't want to be there at all. Pretty much staged a mutiny against the coach, against the organization, to try and get himself traded, but his trade value was so low that they couldn't even do that. So, I mean, it was just, but then I don't know. Then you hear the delusional stuff about how they were asking teams for a first round pick, while the teams were calling Kevin Love saying, we'll take a first round pick from you to take Kevin Love. So, a lot of bizarre stuff when it came to the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. But they are in an interesting spot because, like you said, having this pick is still intriguing for a team that has some young talent, has some veteran talent, and kind of can use a lot. They're still very far away from being competitive, but still kind of they're in an early process of this rebuild. So they can go in a lot of different directions, and there is some talent when you're talking about drafting in the top five.
No, it will be interesting to see whether or not Cleveland is committed to the long rebuild, or will they make another aggressive move, let's say, to try to get another big name in there and push for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do. So let's break it down with what we have for the Cleveland Cavaliers coming up this offseason. So they finished with a record of 19-46. They come into this draft, as I said, with the fifth pick in the NBA draft. That is the only pick that they have. Team needs. Backcourt size is massively obvious. It's glaring when you look at their roster. Sexton and Garland, those are two guys that are about 6'1" and 6'2". Matt Dellavedova, who's a free agent but also was getting a lot of time, he's about 6'3". They just don't have a lot of size in backcourt. So whether it's free agency or the draft, they're going to have to address that. They're also going to have to address wing depth as well. Dylan Windler is a guy who didn't get to play all of the season, but teams around the league are still really high on him. And in fact, they've been calling the Cavaliers a lot, wondering if he's available. Cavs have so far resisted, but and Kevin Porter shows some signs as well. But nonetheless, they're going to need more. And they got Osman, but they're going to need more proven guys at that position. That to me is a spot that you probably look more. You're definitely going to look in the offseason also to supplement what they have already. And then I put rim protection. It's a little bit of an asterisk because they did get Andre Drummond. He only played 8 games for them, but the Cavaliers, I just have to mention, were 30th, I think, in the NBA in block shots. They were dead last. And if you watch them play, they were just a horrendous defensive team. They don't got good on the ball perimeter defenders either, but once they got to the rim, there was just no resistance. They weren't athletic enough. They weren't long enough at the rim, so teams were able to just get to the paint and score at will. And I also put versatility. I just think that, especially when I look at their bigs, I don't see really a lot of versatility in their games. Again, some of these guys won't be on the team, but especially someone like Tristan Thompson's a free agent. But you think about Tristan, Larry Nance, and then and Drummond. I just see a lot of redundancy there. I know Nance can shoot a little bit, so that gives him some more versatility, but particularly at the center position, they need more versatility there. And as I mentioned, they got all those small guards. So this is a not a well put together roster. They're gonna have to kind of figure things out, in my opinion. Free agents, real quickly. Tristan Thompson, a longtime Cavalier. He almost certainly will not be back. So thanks for the memories for Tristan. Matthew Dellavedova, Ante Zizic, Jordan Bell, and Matt Mooney, who's on a two-way deal, are their free agents this year. Kendall, I'll let you go first on this one. For the Cavaliers, who do you have as your target for them?
Well, I mean, look, when I look at the backcourt and I see Garland and I see Sexton, I think to myself, wouldn't Cole Anthony be a great fit with those guys?
No. No, he would not be. No disrespect to Cole Anthony, but I'm not sending another little guard there.
Yeah, no. I'm the biggest Cole Anthony fan out there, but can't put him in Cleveland. I don't know. I mean, backcourt, to me, I'm not touching that. You have to live with two guys that you drafted in the top 10, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. Didn't really love the Garland pick at all. Sexton, I like the pick. He's been pretty much what you would think he would have been. But if you're Kobe Albin, you made your bed. Now you got to sleep in it. So it's the other spots are the spots where now you have to make the real decisions about trying to give those guys weapons. It's like you drafted a quarterback that you didn't feel that great about. You're like, but the quarterbacks in the draft aren't good enough where you're like, I'm gonna draft another one. But now we have to give this guy weapons because the quarterbacks didn't have many weapons and you had to give them time to grow. So we'll see what Garland and Sexton end up being, but they got to give them some pieces. And to me, it's in the front court. And I know they have Drummond and Kevin Love, and I typically don't like drafting rookies that aren't going to start or rookies that aren't at a position of need necessarily. But I don't know how long Love and Drummond are even going to be there. Love and Drummond may not be there next year, depending on what happens in the offseason. So to me, I'm looking at the first priority guy for me is Obi Toppin. And I haven't been the highest on Obi Toppin. You're a bigger Obi Toppin guy than me, but I think the fit in Cleveland is excellent. First of all, play to Dayton is just gonna be a huge. I'm not saying Dayton is the biggest school in Ohio when it comes to basketball, but it's a fairly big school when it comes to basketball in Ohio. I mean, obviously you have Xavier, Ohio State, and Cincinnati as well, but that Dayton Flyers community is pretty strong. And, a lot of Cavs fans are going to be very familiar with Obi Toppin because that Dayton team was one of the best teams in the country last year. So there's going to be a little bit of local fan favorite, a little bit of a local fan favorite situation going on there. He's a winning player, obviously, at Dayton. This is a Cavs team that was very, they seemed very content with losing basketball games last year. And to me, that's tough because they brought in two guys in the last couple of years in the lottery, Garland and Sexton, who were the best players on their teams that didn't win any games. Obviously, Garland didn't play many games, but let's be honest, I don't think Vanderbilt was winning 25 games, even with Darius Garland. And Sexton, obviously, the team barely made it to the tournament. So it's going to be imperative that they bring in guys that have a winning culture. When I look at the guys in the top 5, projected to go in the top 5, top 10 in the draft, Obi Toppin is the biggest winner out of all of them. And when you talk about on-court fit, he gives Garland and Sexton a lob threat, which they kind of already have that in Drummond, but like you said, they need some athleticism in the front court, some rim protection. Obi Toppin, not the best defender, but he is a guy who can help you protect the rim. And I don't know what the situation is with Kevin Love, but I don't want Kevin Love there long term. I don't think he's been a great fit for them. I know you weren't the biggest on Kevin Love's antics at the end of last season. To me,
I know Kevin Love has dealt with some mental health issues, and I'm glad that he's vocalized those. But he just did not act like a professional last year. Just gotta be honest.
Right. So to me, I think Kevin Love. I don't know what the situation is going to be in terms of how you get rid of him, or do you just you have him come off the bench or what. I think he's still a competent player, but I'm not relying on that guy to face my franchise anymore. So I'm looking at Obi Toppin as a replacement to Kevin Love, and I feel good about that because again, Obi Toppin not my favorite prospect, but in Cleveland, you're talking about a guy that will be adored and I think has the ready now. As we talked about in one of our preview videos, that bubble ready game to come in and step in right away to the today's NBA and be effective given his age, his athleticism, and his skill set. And then also real quick, James Wiseman is another guy. I didn't mention him, but because I don't know if he'll be available at 5, but if he is, I don't know what the deal is with Drummond, but that's not stopping me from drafting James Wiseman at all either. But we've talked about him ad nauseum, so if you want to hear more about James Wiseman, watch our comparison video or our interview with Cody Topper, Memphis assistant.
Or our interview with James Wiseman. We talked to him ourselves way back last season. I love Obi Toppin, as you said. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. The guy's a stud. If you tell me Kevin Love is not on the team next year, he's absolutely my pick here, if that's the case. I don't know what the Cavs are doing. I mean, I tried to read up on them and see what the plan is. It doesn't seem like anyone seems to have a real plan on what is going on. But also, I think it's just like they're kind of unpredictable. I don't know if they really know what they're trying to do, honestly. Again, they look like a team at a crossroads on their roster. But so to me, it's like, okay, are they trying to win? Because I guess if they're trying to win, you're not going to get rid of Love anytime soon, which is a terrible decision in my opinion. But also, okay, even if you are trying to get rid of him, what are you going to take back? And again, as you said, it seemed like his value seemed to be off in terms of what they were expecting they could get. So I guess for me, I didn't list Toppin, not anything because I think he's not a great fit in terms of moving forward or for their future. It just seems like they're kind of stuck in a weird position right now where they don't know what they're doing with Love, and he's the guy that's going to be right in front of Toppin. Love's going to demand 35 minutes a night, so I just don't want to have Toppin playing behind him. So if you tell me Love is still on the team and you're moving forward and trying to win with this mismatched roster, then I'm going with Demi Avdija. And I obviously in the Bulls video I had him there, and I will see if he goes for it. Again, most people don't have him mocking there, though it would not surprise me if Chicago takes him. Almost everybody has him mocked to Cleveland, and that makes sense to me. Cleveland, again, they're starving to me for a starting small forward. They're starving for a real shooting guard, but that's just not someone they're going to get at 5. Now, if they trade down, you want to tell me you want to get someone like Nesmith or Vessel, I actually wouldn't mind that, to be honest. Especially if you're able to get some future capital or get another role player who come help out for you, I would totally consider trading down. I think they're kind of in a rough spot. But if they are going to stay and Love is the guy moving forward at the power forward position, then I think Deni Avdija makes a lot of sense. Similar to the Bull situation with Garland and with White there and Garland here and Sexton, both guys, all three of those guys, good playing off the ball, guys who probably demand time off the ball. Avdija can be a primary ball handler in spots. I think Avdija is Avdija also strikes me as a tough player. And a guy who's just not just going to come in and accept the kind of losing that they've done. Like, I think Toppin and Avdija are kind of cut from similar cloths. So that's also why I like this pick. And I like the Toppin pick because you're right. I mean, there were just too many games where the Cavs just seemed content with just getting beat by 30.
Kevin Love just
didn't care.
Colin Sexton knowing he's not going to catch it. Just because he's so frustrated with what's going on.
He's throwing at guys' ankles, and then the team just defensively, like Kevin Porter is flexing on guys down by 50, just knuckleheaded stuff you saw from that team last year. And I'm not, again, this is a team that desperately kind of needs some leadership. You're not going to get it from a rookie, obviously, but they need somebody who's going to come in and just kind of have some sense and some sense of what it means to compete on a night in, night out basis. I think whoever I'm getting on this team, that guy needs to be the pick that I'm drafting with. So I think Avdija will make a lot of sense. The other guy I had notched here as well, and this was assuming that your Wisemans, your Balls, all those guys aren't off the board and there isn't some massive drop off. I did put Tyrese Halliburton here, and this might be a spot where you're talking about trading down.
Another point guard.
It's a point guard. Yeah, it's a point guard, but I think, to me, I thought about this in the sense of the Oklahoma City situation. where
Interesting.
Oklahoma City can make that work because one of the guys is like 6'7", 6'6", and Shea, and
Right.
Tyrese Halliburton is about 6'5", 6'6". So to me, and he's unlike those other guys, he's not a guy who needs to shoot or
Yeah.
shoot a lot.
Spaces the
So
floor for them.
right, he defends, he can space the floor off the ball, and on the ball, he's perfectly fine with getting other guys open shots. And I think, again, in a theory where Love and Drummond are on the team, I think he can really work well with them in pick and roll, getting those guys open shots and getting those
What?
guys easy dunks and layups and open threes for Love. So I put Halliburton in there. He would probably be a backup, but again, this is not a good team. So you need to start putting together a roster. I wouldn't be afraid of drafting a guy like Halliburton. Also because look, I also think none of these young guys are like non-expendable. Or rather expendable. Or no, yeah, they're non-expendable. Like all these guys, I could end up deciding, I'll move on from Sexton, or maybe I'll move on from or Garland. Like I don't think because I'm not drafting another little guy. Again, that's why I would not draft Cole Anthony. But if I draft a guy who, okay, I know plays point guard, but he's totally different than the guys I have, he actually complements, I wouldn't be afraid of taking that guy and then deciding, okay, well, one of these other little guys isn't working out for me, so let me get rid of him to put somebody else in there who makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
See,
So that's why I put Halliburton in there as well. Again, another guy also, leadership role kind of comes in.
well, yeah, that's
Could
what I
be a
was
floor
gonna say.
general. That's why I put him in there as well.
Halliburton, look, I mean, Halliburton adds to it another guy who lost a heck of a lot of games in college. But one of the things that you missed on when it came to your team needs is I think they need basketball IQ.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
there are a lot of guys on the team just very low basketball IQ players. And the guys we've mentioned so far, Halliburton high IQ, Abdia high IQ, Obi Toppin high IQ players. So that has to be the play here. Like I get Lamelo Ball and Halliburton are similar players, but could you imagine Lamelo Ball playing with that crew? I
No,
mean, geez,
I don't want to. Yeah,
and it goes to where is his basketball IQ at compared to where the rest of the guys are, that we've talked about in this draft. So I think that's going to be important. I think bringing in guys like Avdia instantly can make the rest of the team better because when you just need every team needs smart players, and the Cavs need a guy that can come in and kind of make plays for the guys, like you said, play defense when defense needed to be played. They don't necessarily need shot makers because they have shot makers. Kevin Porter can make shots. Darius Garland can certainly make shots. Colin Sexton has proven he can make shots in this league. Kevin Love can make shots. But they just don't have anybody right now that I look at and I'm like, wow, this guy is really, like I said, a leader, a floor general, a high IQ player. Like Isaac Okoro could be an interesting fit because like you said the 3 spot is kind of a weakness. The wing spot's kind of a weakness, but I don't know if he's really helping you in that regard. He's just another guy he's gonna be kind of similar to Kevin Porter in what he gives you. Not the offensive talent, but another wing who has a lot of physical traits that you're excited about. But is he helping Garland and Sexton at all? I mean, defensively, I guess. But Denny is a two-way player that helps you on the offensive side of the ball in terms of being able to make plays. Like you said, another guy with a winning pedigree. I did neglect to mention Danny Avdia as another guy in that top 5, top 10 with a winning pedigree. Of course, with what he did, not only playing for Maccabi Tel Aviv, which I don't necessarily care too much about because, I mean, that's like saying Alabama won the SEC. With Maccabi winning the Israeli Super League, it's like, oh yeah, Gonzaga won the West Coast Conference. Like, oh man, it's like congrats. But what he did winning
I'll still take Gonzaga win the West Coast Conference.
yeah, I know he just I also jab there, but what he did do winning the Israeli the European under 19 tournament, under 18 tournament, I believe it was the Euros with in FIBA playing for Israel. That was impressive because Israel not some basketball superpower. It's not like he was playing for Spain or playing for Croatia. And it made them the best youth team in the entire continent. So he does have some winning genes in him, so that's something that I think the Cavs would certainly have to consider. Similar to what I mentioned in our Bulls video by Danny Avdia, a little bit of overlap. You already have Jetty Osman. another guy that I compared Denny Avdia to in our Avdia comparison video, and they're not one for one. I think Avdia is much more of a playmaker than Cedi Osman. But if Denny Avdia, if he doesn't reach his full potential, he's going to be more like Cedi Osman than he is Luka Doncic, for example. So that's the concern. But honestly, if you're drafting top 5, you're not drafting the guy hoping that or thinking that he's not going to pan out. So you're assuming that, yeah, he's going to have that Hedo Turkoglu, Boris Diaw even kind of point forward ability. And that's something that I think is important for this Cavs team. And then, look, he's a guy that can play small ball, which this Cavs team, if you want to play him at the 4, you could have lineups where you have Sexton, Garland, Porter, Avdia, and then Love or Drummond. I do like the Avdia fit. To me, though, I'm going with the local guy. I'm going with the guy that everyone knows in the state. And typically, I don't care about that. I'm not DeAndre Ayton's got to go to Phoenix because he went to Arizona guy. But when you're talking about a team that needs a power forward, needs a guy with a winning pedigree, and while I'm not the biggest Obi Toppin fan, he's a heck of a talent. We can't ignore that, despite his age. I think he's a pick here, but I'd be fine with Avdia as well.
What do you guys think the Cleveland Cavaliers should do with the 5th pick in this NBA draft? What do you think that Kobe Altman and Camp has got cooking for them? Make sure you guys leave a comment on what you think is going to happen. Make sure you guys, of course, like this video. And, of course, check out all of our videos on the New Generation Media YouTube channel where we're doing all of our draft content. For Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.